Joining us now here in New York is New York City Mayor Eric Adams. He's co-chair of Mayors Against Illegal Guns, a nonpartisan coalition of more than 1,000 mayors that works within every town for gun safety. The mayors are asking the Senate to take action on gun reform in the wake of the mass shootings in Uvalde and in Buffalo. Mr. Mayor, great to see you. Thanks for being with us. I was thinking, as we talk about the funerals this week of 10, 11-year-olds, that you've had to deal with that yourself as a mayor. We had an 11-year-old girl shot and killed in the Bronx just last week. What do you propose to do in your city first, and then we can talk about the country about stopping gun violence?
And that's important. And at the top of the show, the mayor, Mayor McLaughlin, I'm going to call him today because this is a mayor's battle. Mayors are being impacted by that. And here in New York, we saw just last week 2 guns outside of school. Inside the school, young man had 2 loaded, 15 years old, had 2 loaded guns in his backpack. We also saw another child the next day that had a loaded gun in his backpack. He was 13. And so we wanted to focus on several different ways. Number one, my neighborhood safety team, we took 2,900 guns off the street since I have been the mayor. That's unimaginable. And in addition to that, we're making sure that we continue to have the drills with our school safety officers and inside our schools, school safety agents inside our schools to be prepared, and we are. So the goal is to go after those guns, but also stop the pipeline that are feeding children to carry guns.
We've been focused on the AR-15, other semi-automatic rifles, because of the horrific damage they can do so quickly, as evidenced again a week ago in Uvalde, Texas. But as you know, the overwhelming majority of gun violence takes place with handguns in this country, particularly in New York City. How do you stop that?
And you hit it right on the head. We've ignored the real crises. The crisis in America is the handgun. That's what Chicago is experiencing, San Francisco, Atlanta, New York. So there's several, I like to say, rivers that feed this crisis. Number one, we have to deal with the ghost gun issue. Right now, laws have not caught up to the creativity of bad guys. The ghost guns that are disassembled, we need to treat them as real guns. We need to look at the shipment of the parts. That is very important to do so. Second, we have to really look at the ruling that's about to come out of the Supreme Court. Open carry is a crisis. Can you imagine being on a 4 train and someone openly carrying a firearm? And then we need to have the coordination between our ATF. Right now, we only have 2,400 ATF agents in our entire country. About 60 of them are here in New York. We have to double that size. We have to get a leader there so we could do information sharing like we do every day in New York to talk about the dangers people are carrying guns and focus on gangs. That's how we're taking these guns off the street. That's why we have a 30% decrease in shootings in the city during the month of April. We're looking at that same pathway in the month of May because we have precision policing on the dangerous people who are carrying guns and using guns, but we got to keep them off the streets. That's part of the problem.
Mr. Mayor, Joe is here with a question for you. Joe?
Mr. Mayor, thanks so much for coming in talking today. We have, of course, a national crisis. We have right now Democrats trying to get Republicans to agree on an issue that 85% of Americans support. That is universal background checks. And what I would love for you to explain to everybody across America that's watching right now is how this is a national problem. It is not a state problem. You can pass all the laws you want, the gun safety laws you want in New York City, but talk about the stream of illegal weapons that are bought in other states that have more lax laws regarding gun safety, have more lax laws regarding background checks, and how those guns get into New York City, those guns get into Chicago, that this is a national problem that needs to be addressed by an expansive, universal background checking system.
And you're so right. This problem is not a local problem. It's not in New York. It's not Atlanta, a Chicago problem. This is a national crisis, and we have not been attacking this as a national crisis. New York City we have strong gun laws that we may lose through the Supreme Court, but we have strong gun laws. But when you allow guns to be purchased in Georgia and Atlanta and other localities, and then they're brought into the inner city through the iron pipeline, that's a real problem. Look what they just did in Atlanta. In Atlanta, they basically dismantled all the rules around background checks and identification. That's an issue that we must face. But background check must go further than just looking at someone's ID. We need the social media industry to be part of this, using artificial intelligence to identify those who are using dangerous terms so we can conduct proper background checks, not only what's on paper and documented, but what they're doing in social media.
Mr. Mayor, also, I want to talk about something that you've seen far too much of, and that is young people dying, children dying. At the top of the show, we told our viewers a statistic that if you add up all the numbers of police officers who were killed in the line of duty last year, add up all of the troops, U.S. troops, that were killed in combat, if you add up the number of black Americans who were killed by police officers, add up the number of all Americans that were killed by police officers, and put all these numbers together, that still would not equal the number of children who were killed by guns last year. Now, we talk about, obviously, and we should talk about all of these issues, but for some reason, a 2-year-old dies in the Bronx, and that's a local story, but it doesn't catch the attention of everybody. Or in Chicago, so many people die every weekend in Chicago. And it reminds me of what you were talking about during the campaign. You said, we focus on the AR-15 deaths because they're so horrific. You said, but you all don't understand. This is a battle we have to fight day in and day out because of the proliferation of guns in New York City and all across America. Talk about that tragedy.
And it's clear the number one killer of young people are the guns. That's clear. And we have basically normalized young people dying from gun violence. And it's unfortunate that many of these killings are taking place in poor black and brown communities. And we have not considered this the crisis that it is. And it's ironic that some who advocate to stop killings in other areas have totally ignored which is the largest number of killings from guns. And that is why I refuse to go with politically expedient or politically popular. We need to be honest about this issue, and we need to have a concerted effort to really stem this tide. We have not acknowledged this issue. And to his credit, President Biden is really the first president that has really turned this into a national narrative, not when the mass shootings take place, but throughout the entire year. He's talking about Chicago, New York, and Atlanta. We were not hearing that coming under the White House and previous presidents throughout the years.